Hi everyone, it's Scott. Jesus Christ began a work about 2,000 years ago in Israel. That work, saving the souls of men and women from certain destruction and eternal judgment, continues. That work continues even now, today. Those who have accepted and received his message and his work are called Christians, or people who believe and follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. This belief, this faith, is what is called the Christian faith. And Jesus is the author of it, and he is the finisher of this faith. This Christian faith has spread all over the world. To date, I believe it's over 2 billion people in the world. So what started with Jesus and his 12 disciples has grown and thrived and blessed billions of people the world over. But friend, what is it exactly that we believe? What are the essentials of the Christian faith? What is it that's at the core of our faith? If we profess to be followers of Jesus, his disciples, then we ought to also be able to profess those essential truths that are part of our Christian faith, that we believe. I think we'd all admit that there are lots of things that we believe as Christians, but how do we know which ones are essential to our faith and which ones are not essential to our faith? Well, our faith centers around what we call salvation, the saving of a person's soul from the judgment of God for disobeying him, or sin. That's what we call sin, disobeying God, and the judgment that comes from that. Central to our faith is salvation from that judgment. So the essentials of our faith need to be truths that are necessary for us to be saved from the impacts of sin. What are the essential truths that will save us from the penalty of sin, which is what we call justification? What are the essential truths that will save us from the power of sin, which is our sanctification? And what are the essential truths that will save us from the presence of sin, or what we call glorification? For this, there are 15 essential truths that we all hold dear as Christians. There are 12 essential truths that we believe to be redeemed from the penalty of sin, or our justification. There are 2 essential truths that we hold dear to be released from the power of sin, or our sanctification. And there's 1 essential truth that we hold on to be relieved from the presence of sin. And then crucially, we have 2 essential truths of our Christian faith related to how we know those salvation truths at all, how we even received those essential truths for our salvation, how these truths have been revealed to us, how they've been transmitted or translated to us. There are 2 related to that. So we can say that we have 2 truths related to the transmission system, or the Word of God, the Scriptures, the Holy Bible. So we have 17 essential truths in total that Christians everywhere believe. How do we know that all Christians everywhere believe this? Well, there have been creeds handed down to us today from the early church fathers. Those creeds started with the Apostles' Creed, and then the Nicene Creed in 325 AD, the Creed of Chalcedon in 451, and then the Athanasian Creed, which was also around the 451 time frame, where all of these were codified. They were brought together and agreed upon by the church fathers. So all Orthodox and Protestant denominations have affirmed these truths that we're going to review. And remember, these are essentials. We are not going to look at non-essentials. We're only going to look at essentials in this series. Only those truths that are essential to the Christian faith are going to be reviewed. There are lots of things that are outside the core of the Christian faith. The core being salvation, or the saving of a person's soul from the judgment of God for sin. There are lots of things that are outside of that core. But for this review, we're going to keep the essentials essential and the non-essentials non-essential. We're not going to bring minor things up to essential, and we're not going to take the essentials and bring them down to a non-essential status. We are only going to look at those things that are essential to the Christian faith. We won't make the major things minor, and we won't take minor things and make them major. And during this series, this review, we're going to strive to live up to that saying, in essentials, unity; in non-essentials, liberty; in all other things, charity. Now, before we get started in our review of these essentials, I have to confess that I am no theologian. I am merely a Christian man who has been following Jesus since the mid-'80s. So great credit has to be given to two men that have provided the source material for this important review. Those two men are Dr. Norman Geisler and Dr. Ron Rhodes. Let me just give you a brief introduction to these two men. Dr. Geisler went to be with Jesus in 2019. He was 86 years old. He was a theologian, a Christian apologist. He was the co-founder of two evangelical seminaries. He had a PhD in philosophy, a master's in theology, plus. I will leave a link to his website, his family's website, normangeisler.com. And then Dr. Ron Rhodes, he's still with us, thank God. He's currently the president of Reasoning from Scriptures Ministries. He was an associate editor of the Christian Research Journal. He was a regular on CRI's, or Christian Research Institute's, Bible Answer Man, and that's when I first had run into Ron Rhodes. He used to be on the Bible Answer Man all the time. He has a theological doctorate from Dallas Theological Seminary in systematic theology, and he's found at ronrhodes.org. Dr. Rhodes. They joined together to publish a book that has been such a blessing that we're going to use as our source material. This is called Conviction Without Compromise. Conviction Without Compromise, The Essentials of Our Christian Faith, Standing Strong in the Core Beliefs of the Christian Faith. Conviction Without Compromise. And it's a wonderful book, and I'll leave a link to that as well if you want to get your own copy of it. Look, we thank God for both of these men and the prolific work that they both have done to serve Jesus and his church. So I encourage you to go and get yourself a copy of this book. It'll be helpful for your own personal studies, but we're also going to use it as our source material for this review. So with all of that as introduction, and it felt right to give an introduction of this series, of this new series, but if you're ready to get started to find out what we Christians believe and why we believe it, then let's jump into the first truth, the first essential that all of us Christians believe. Number one, God's unity. I'll see you there. Bye now.